inspiration and you're in year one and you're like, why do my locks look like that? You ain't even giving them time to get a little chance. You're not even giving them time. We're going to be talking about starter lock tips today. This is going to be a part 3 for what to expect in the first year of your lock journey. Not so much what to really expect, but just some things to help you get through, okay? If you are new to the channel, make sure that you subscribe. This is going to be a remake of a 3-part series that I had did maybe a year or 2 ago. We're going to go ahead and condense that all. First category is going to be wash day and shower maintenance tips. Next is going to be healthy locks and scalp. And then we are also going to touch on the motivational part of the lock journey as well. Most of these things are not one size fits all, but for this first one, I'm not playing with y'all, okay? Wash your hair. Water helps your hair to tangle up. It helps your hair to lock up. Because of those tangles, it helps your hair to grow because it's not dirty. If you have a dirty scalp, your hair cannot flourish. There are so many of us out here that are washing our locks in the beginning stages, and we are okay. My first and second lock journey, I washed my hair for the first time after 3 weeks, and I was a-okay. My first set, I did have some problems with some of the locks coming out. I started with comb coils. If they unravel, just put them back in, or you can use preventative measures so that they do not come out, which is washing your locks with a stocking cap on, washing your locks in like little groups of ponytails, whatever the case may be. But wash your hair. The next tip that I have for you guys is to use apple cider vinegar, especially in those starter days where you can't wash as often as you may like to. If you would deal with any type of flaking, scalp issues, apple cider vinegar is amazing. It helps to balance the pH of your scalp, antibacterial. And I am not talking about an apple cider vinegar detox, or some people even call it apple cider vinegar rinse or soap. I have to insert a clip of the apple cider vinegar conditioning spray that I use. It's by the brand Free the Roots. I'll leave a link down below so you can get 10% off. So what I'll do is I'll either spray my hair before and let it sit for a few moments, or I will wash my hair and then use the apple cider vinegar after. Once your hair completely dries, you're not going to smell that vinegar smell. Yes, you will smell it anytime it is wet, but once it dries, you'll be good to go. Salt water. Salt water, I have not done it at all with this second set. I did do it a few times with my first set. It actually can help to lock your hair up faster. Now, there is a pro and con with that. It will cause tangling and matting up. It also can tend to dry your hair out a little bit, so you have to be careful if you're going to use the sea salt. I wouldn't recommend you doing it all the time. Just make sure that you are moisturizing. Spray some salt water on your hair before you wash it, and then, you know, wash it out and go on about your day as normal. Using a shower cap. I do not own a shower cap. I have not owned one in years. Sometimes I'll wear my bonnet in a shower. I have a certain style in, or if I just did a retwist, I'll just throw my bonnet on. But I don't even bother. And that is because the moisture from the water is gonna moisturize your locks when you're in the shower. So that's why I say, unless you have just fresh retwists and you don't want to mess that up because your roots are going to get puffy and things, of course, you don't want to do that. But take advantage of the moisture that is in the air while you are taking a shower. I will touch more on water being your moisturizer once we get down to the healthy scalp section. Water is one of your locks' best friend. That is whether you're drinking water, using water on your hair, or whatever the case may be. Water. Retwisting after every wash. Who told you you had it? I know a lot of us can be conditioned to a certain look. Every single time you wash, if you want to retwist, do that. But if you don't, then you don't have to, you guys. Every time I wash, I do not retwist. I go 3-4 months without retwisting sometimes, and I'm alright with that. I wash, of course, throughout the course of those 3-4 months. You should at least separate your roots if you're in the beginning stages, because they will get stuck together. They will, probably, depending on your, hair type, hair texture. The thing about the lock journey is, do what you want. Another tip is, and this may seem kind of out of the ordinary, but when you're washing your locks, you want to make sure that your nails are filed. Like, if I was washing my hair today with these broken chip nails I got going on, it would be a mess. Your nails will snag on pieces of your lock, and it'll happen more often than you think. Make sure that your locks are getting fully dry. Please do not start your hair at 5 p.m. Go to bed at 9 or 10. Put your bonnet on, wrap your hair up, tie it up tightly, and go to bed. Do you want mold? Mildew? Don't do that, please. You lay down something satin or silk, satin, silk, whatever, and you just have to leave your hair out because you should not be covering it up if it is still wet, because unfortunately your locks can produce mildew on the inside of them and you may not know. They may have a little smell to them and you're wondering why. That could be why. You really don't want that, because that could definitely be something that would make or break your lock journey. You're going to be like, ooh, maybe I should start over, maybe I should cool them out, maybe I should just cut them off. I would hate for that to be the reason why, you guys. So just make sure that your locks are fully dry, whether that's air dry or blow dry. I don't care what you do. Do not let anybody convince you that you should just not blow dry if you feel that that's necessary. The only retwist our hair every so often, or wash, even washing. Let me stop saying retwist. We don't wash our hair every single day. You shouldn't be doing that. So if you need to blow dry every once in a while, then blow dry your hair every once in a while. It'll be okay. Just make sure that you're moisturizing, of course, as well. But blow dry your hair if that's what you feel like will get your hair dry. And then the last one that I have for this starter lock wash day tip is to try to have some type of routine. Having a routine will help your wash days. It'll help it to be a little less daunting, because people act like when you get locks you don't have to maintain your hair at all, and that's definitely not the case. So we may tend to get a little spoiled with in between maintenance, and then when wash day rolls around you stressed out. By you, I mean me, because I'd be like, oh my gosh, like, oh, I gotta do this. Doing too much. Even though I know it's coming every 4 weeks, sometimes I'm just not prepared. But having a routine will help you navigate through that easier, and also it'll help train your hair in those beginning stages, unless you're just completely freeform. And do you. So let's move on to the next section, which is making sure that you have a healthy scalp and healthy locks. Now this next thing is so important, and I need you guys to understand that if you are just putting oil, coconut oil, Jamaican black castor oil, almond oil, whatever it is, if you are just putting that on your locks without any type of pre-moisture, whether it be regular water, distilled preferably, spring water, regular rose water, distilled water, rose water, or aloe juice. You need to have some type of water-based moisturizer before you are putting your oils on, because your oils are what is going to seal in that moisture. Oils are a sealant. Now there are certain oils that have properties that are pointed more towards moisturizing. For example, coconut oil, one of its main properties is to actually help to moisturize. But I said help to moisturize because I'm telling you guys, if you're just putting the oils directly on your hair, it's just sitting on top. You're coating your hair with oil. It's not really doing what it needs to do. So next is, don't be lazy. Don't be lazy, you guys. Just because we have locks does not mean we don't need to do anything. That comes down to your wash routine, your moisturizing routine. Locks is a beautiful break from the normal maintenance of, you know, loose natural hair, but let's not be naive, you guys. You still need to maintain your locks, because there is a chance that you may experience some breakage, like actual pieces of your locks falling off, whole locks, things like that. And that's because of not having any type of moisture routine at all. You just really have to try your best to not fall into the laziness and just expecting that you don't need to do anything because you have locks. So please remember that. So next, for how to keep your scalp healthy and your locks healthy, please be mindful of your product usage, and that's how many products you're using as well as what type of products that you're using. You really do not need to have 700 beauty products like you used to have with Loose Natural. You don't need all them creams, concoctions, oils. You don't need all that. So I would say, honestly, have a few staple oils. You know, if you want to have quite a few oils and mix them together, that's better than you having quite a few products with a whole bunch of junk in them and then you putting that on your locks. In my opinion, natural is the way to go. Keep it to a minimum. And I also don't think that you should be putting oil in your locks every day. I am not a loctician. I am not a professional, but that's my opinion. Oil can also attract lint. Using products every day or using too much products, it can cause buildup as time goes on, especially if you were not doing a actual apple cider vinegar detox or some type of cleanse. So next time you have a wash day, if you feel like you may have been using a little bit, you've been going crazy on the products, just make sure that you really take one of your locks and squeeze and see if you notice anything coming out, because it could be up in there. So be mindful of the products that you're using. Dyeing and bleaching your locks. I'm gonna do a separate video on this, you guys. I really want to, and it's gonna be about the cons. I feel like there's literally only one pro of dyeing and bleaching your locks, and that's the aesthetic pro. So we got to be real and talk about some cons. I would never sit on here and tell you guys not to dye your locks. That's not my job. My job is not to tell you guys to do anything. My job is just to, you know, help provide some advice and insight. This is my second lock journey, so I know a little bit. My first lock journey, the way that I was dyeing and bleaching my hair, I definitely lost some pieces of my locks. This is a result of just, first of all, being skinny piece, and a result of my hair being super dry, and more so on the damaged side from dyeing it so much, not moisturizing as much, and then doing an apple cider vinegar rinse. You guys, I was getting wild. I'm not the best with moisturizing. I should be doing a lot better for me to have dyed my hair. And I noticed a piece of one of my locks the other day that I don't think is gonna make it much longer. It could be this one, but if not, this one could definitely be on the verge as well. So let me just show you guys this. Piece of lock like this is very susceptible to breaking if I'm not careful and if I do not maintain that, because what could happen is this little section here, if I do not moisturize my locks, after a while what's going to happen is this is going to continue to get really thin right here, and then this whole end will pop off. We don't want that. I don't think that's the one that I saw the other day, but let me speak on the bleaching part. The job is to actually strip and break down the color of your hair. So strip and break down. It's stripping and breaking down your strands of hair, okay? That's what it does. Now, that's not to say that just because you bleach your hair, they're gonna fall off, but I just want you guys to really understand that's how it lightens that color. Now, if you're just dyeing your locks, depending on the dye that you use, it could be the same deal. Still could break things down with your hair strands. And the thing about dyeing your hair is it actually can change the texture of your hair. I use Adore hair dye for my actual color, and Adore hair dye is amazing, really vibrant. Good stuff. Dry twisting your scalp. If you at work, at school, in the car, in the shower, in the bed, I don't know where you at the club, and you were sitting there just twisting your hair while it's dry, stop that. Do not twist your hair while it is dry. You are screaming for breakage. Screaming. Asking for it, begging, even while you're doing just a regular style for the day. Ideally, you really want to moisturize, wet your hair, something before you just start manipulating and throwing it up in some tight ass bun. The thing is, your hair strands are not as flexible when they are dry, so they are more prone to breakage. So you want to make sure that you are wetting them first. That way they have some flexibility, some room to move. The next is to cover your hair. Cover your locks up, because one, extra friction and things like that can cause breakage. Say if you just go to bed on a cotton pillowcase and you rolling around doing all this and that, you can be causing extra friction, which is going to cause that extra frizz. You can also be causing breakage. So you want to make sure that you are protecting your hair, and then also from environmental factors. So if you were just sitting in the house and you're really not doing much, I wear my bonnet. Let's just use dust for an example. You don't dust for 2-3 months ever. Some people don't ever dust. Some people. So dust, it's in the air. You leave your plate of food down and you don't cover it up, it's gonna be some dust on that thing probably when you come back. You ain't gonna be able to see it, but it's gonna be there. Same idea with your locks. So that brings me into the next tip. This is one of my biggest tips. Shake your locks out. You go in front of a window where there's like sunlight so you can see the things floating around, you're gonna be like, whoa. Go into your car. Go into your car when it's a little iffy, because there's not much space, so we can just fly right back on your head. Just shake your hair, you know, once a week, twice a week, every day. That's the other thing with covering up your hair. Lint. Be mindful of your sweaters, jackets, things that you're wearing also, because lint. Like in the back of your neck, your sweater could be rubbing up against your locks, and then you have balls of lint. There's only so much you can do depending on how far it gets up in there before you get to digging and picking and breaking at your lock, which is also what I did with my first set. And then the last part for the health, there's plenty of people who wear Loc Jewelry and do styles in the first year of their lock journey, and their locks come out completely fine. But I also just want to make sure that you guys are aware that depending on the size of your locks, depending on how often you do these things, depending on your hair texture, hair type, there's gonna be, you know, some type of like lump. Now, if you don't care about that, then that's fine. Like me, for example, I'm semi-freeform, so something like that I wouldn't have really cared about. I'm just not really huge on like the jewelry and stuff for my hair. Just know that your hair is very immature, very impressionable in those first stages, so things like too many styles or jewelry can cause some extra lumps and bumps in there if you do not want that. If you have not subscribed already, please do that. Last section is the motivational section. Some people may not make it to the section. They feel like they may not need it, but it is very, very important. My biggest thing I feel with the loc journey is the way you start is not the way you will finish, you guys. There is absolutely no way for you to know what your locks are going to look like unless you go through the journey. For the first, I don't know, for a long time, I did a monthly update every single month. I was consistent, and you can see the changes. You guys, you see my locks right now, okay? Go back to those first videos and tell me that you would have had any idea that this was how my locks was gonna look. You just don't know, you guys. Whatever you're going through, if you're having a rough time in the beginning, it's perfectly okay if you are having off days, bad days. I don't believe in ugly stage. I really don't. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but that's okay. Your hair is gonna look completely different how it did that first year. I had my first set for 4 years. They look different every year. They just kept getting better and better and better. So I just want you guys to really realize that the way that you start is not the way that you will finish, and you just have to push through, because if you don't, you'll just never know. So this next one kind of goes in with the last one, which is be aware that there are different stages of the loc journey. You have the baby starter loc phase, you got the teenage stage, adult stage, and then the mature stage. And in those different stages, they're gonna look differently. You just gotta go through the motions. At this point, I don't really know what to call it, because I do not believe in ugly stage. I will never ever believe in ugly stage. I just think that that is absolutely insane that people already are preconditioned to believe that, oh, this is a part of the loc journey. No, it's not. Like, no, the hell it's not. You know, I get it. Some people come from different standards. Some people just have different expectations. Some women are prim proper and they are used to having their hair done all the time. Like, I understand that we all come from different backgrounds and things like that, but that does not give you the right to go into this experience like, oh, this shit about to be ugly between months 3, 4, and 5, whatever the case may be. Already your perspective is kind of screwed up. I know we're conditioned to feel a certain way about our hair. The reality is that sometimes in the starter loc days, your hair may look a little wild. That's why I would call it the wild stage, if anything, but it's really just a bad hair day. You just really have to work on programming your mind and work on programming the love into the locks. Because if you go into it looking at it like, oh, this is about to be ugly, then it's gonna be ugly. It's gonna be ugly. It's simple as that. It's also a form of self-love. You gotta work on you and your perception of things. Locks was the first time in my life where I ever had so much self-love for my hair. So I completely just fell in love with the process both times, and I was golden. I was good to go. Next is to document your journey, you guys. This is one of the most useful tools when it comes to your locks, because it'll really put things in perspective for you. Take pictures, take videos every month. If you're not a photogenic person, at least just take them every month so you can see the monthly difference. But take as many pictures and videos as your heart desires, because it is going to make all the difference. Sometimes you don't even notice the little changes until you really see things lined up side by side. Sometimes you don't notice the growth until you see month 3 and month 7 side by side. You're like, what? Like, damn. It's also just really beautiful to see. So I recommend definitely documenting your journey. If you are struggling, I have a whole video on how to feel, for my ladies that are watching, more feminine with your locks. I will link that video down in the description so you can check that out. Wear head wraps. If you really even wanted to wear a wig, then you get that fixed. Put some oil in that thing. You can do that. There are ways, jewelry, makeup, whatever you want to do, like there are ways to make yourself feel better and to feel more feminine if you are struggling with that, okay? The next one is, please do not waste time comparing your locks to anybody else's. Just don't even waste it. There's plenty of other things you could be doing with your day. Tell you that right now. Plenty other things. No two locks is the same. Not even on my head. I don't have two locks that are exactly the same. You can have an inspiration, of course, yes, but you want to also make sure that you're aware that too much comparison can cause envy. It can cause you to feel down and out about yours, especially in the beginning, because like I'm saying, you guys, please do not find the most seasoned lock head that you love, lock inspiration, and you're in year one and you're like, why do my locks look like that? You ain't even giving them time to get a little chance. You're not even giving them time. But besides that, you cannot expect your hair to look like anybody else's, because that's just not what it is. That's not life. That's not real. So the best thing that you can do for yourself is really just embrace what you have going on and embrace the beauty in your locks and your hair. And that's it. That's it. Just embrace what you have. Next, lumps and bumps. Lumps and bumps will happen sometimes. It depends on a few factors. There is budding. Budding is a very essential stage to the lock journey, which is where your hair kind of expands in certain spots where you'll find like maybe like some bumpy spots. What it's doing is it's trying to get the hair in that section to tangle up. It's creating like a little net for the hair. There's that. But then there's also what I used to have. I used to have a lot of bunching. It's all condensed now. It's due to me being a semi-freeform and not palm rolling all the way down my locks and not doing a regular maintenance routine, I'll say, in a way, because semi-freeform, you know, you can wash and not do anything after and just go. So it really just depends on your maintenance routine. But if you're palm rolling all the way down, you shouldn't have as much bunching. I'm not quite sure if bunching is all the way normal. It could be for some hair types, but budding is normal, okay? The last thing is the frizziness. The frizziness does get better as time goes on. It's kind of just something that you have to get used to in the beginning. It's bound to happen. It's gonna happen probably. But as your locks mature, they will get less and less and less frizzy. Same thing with your locks marrying or getting stuck at the roots, which is where, you know, you got two locks webbing, whatever you want to call it. Ooh. Those things get better as time goes on. But that's it for this what to expect in the first year of your lock journey starter lock tips edition. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure that you subscribe before you go, and check out these other videos if you haven't seen part 1 and part 2. It'll be in your best interest to do so. I'll see you guys next time.